Sharon Combs. She is an experienced, passionate, and charismatic speaker. Since 2000, Sharon has been investing herself in the success of others, captivating them with humor and openness that promotes audience engagement.
It doesn't have to be a fight between me and you. We can focus on solutions. And how do we focus on solutions? We establish common ground.
The thing I want to say is if you are fortunate enough to reach Coach Shay and set some time up with her, you're going to be very lucky.
We have assumptions, so many, and you have to check your assumptions because your assumptions can be the very barrier or bottleneck to us being able to work effectively together.
You're going to realize your true growth potential as a leader as well. She actually presented it in a way it felt new.
Howdy, y'all. How you doing? This is Sharon Combs with Be the Clay. This is where we work with individuals in transition, high-performing women, and we really just talk about reinvention, mindset, navigating the transitions of life, like when life throws you a plot twist, and when it surprises you in a pleasant way, as in promotions, raises, new jobs, and when it surprises you in a way that you kind of maybe wouldn't like, demotions, divorce, different things that you would not necessarily choose. But what I love about being the clay is no matter what we're going through, whether we are up or whether we are at places we may not want to be, we still have an opportunity to be the clay. Be the clay, because life is going to happen. Change is going to happen. Transition is going to happen. And I am a faith-based individual. So we really talk about what that looks like with the skill set and with the rule books that we play with. And don't get stuck on the rules. Just learn how to be the clay. Stay wet. So I want to talk about the why. Some of my clients that I work with, just let me just slow it down. I want to talk about the why. When I have the opportunity to work with individuals, many people say that they have a plan. It's like, no, this is what I'm going to do. And they begin to tell me what they're going to do. And after like a few questions, not deep questions, just regular logistical questions, you realize they don't have a plan. They may have a dream. They may even have a hope or an idea, but they do not have a plan. They haven't thought about it logistically. They haven't thought about how it's going to play out, when they're going to do this, what it's going to be structured like, how they're going to even structure it. And so that's part of the why in what I do with the family of companies that we have, with the framework that we use. Part of that why is if you can identify the what, like the next step of the what, that's half of the battle. Most people don't even know the next step. And sometimes when they try to figure out the dream and step formation, they can become overwhelmed. They can get stuck. A lot of different things can happen and they don't see the movement that they want to see and that I want to see them have also. And so within all of the frameworks of our company, we are about moving the needle forward. Whether you're doing the 30-day kickstart, which is the reset program that has helped many people move their needle forward, or whether you're in language mastery or leadership nuances, really learning how to hone in and develop your skill set at different levels of your professional growth, we want you to always be able to move your needle forward. And so that is really part of the why. This is a huge part of the why, because we look at some of the strategic pressures of high level leadership, because the higher you go, it becomes less and less about your technical skill and more about your people skill, more and more about your ability to move many people, not just yourself, forward with that needle. And so we look at those things. We look at some of the things that come with it. Is there burnout? Is there anxiety? Is the stress level, have we moved from the good stress to the not so good stress? Some people don't even know that there are two types of stress, success emptiness, where you really fought hard and you followed all the rules, the grades, the 2.5 kids, the marriage, this career that you really believe you wanted, and you hit the thing that you thought you wanted, and now there's emptiness because you were following the rules, but you hadn't even asked yourself, does this align with what I want? And so we look at sometimes success emptiness. It's a real thing. unresolved trauma, non-clinical, but we look at some of these things. And this is part of the why. The tools that I was already using to help people, but the why of why it became like all together. I was like, all right, I see the reset is working, but the reset is a 30-day kickstart. All right, I see hold your form is working, think on purpose is working, and it's helping people. These are 90-day programs, though. These are like 13-week programs. And so that's 1/4 of the year. The goal is never to make someone dependent on me. It's to get them to the place where they can like move, and all of these skills are things that you can use after you learn them. You can use them on your own. Like you don't have to still be connected. But I guess maybe because my journey and going through the things, I was like, oh, there seems to be a cycle here because change does come and you keep transitioning. You transition when you got your first job. Okay, now you transition when you start getting your raises, and it's different at each level. And so that is how we really began to like lock into the fact that, hey, instead of just having all these things separate like an org chart at your job, they do seem to go together. And of course, I didn't know that at the beginning, 2016, I'm doing the reset. I didn't know that language nuances, that language mastery was coming. I didn't know it was coming down the road, just being fully transparent. But that is the thing of life and the art of becoming. And so for, now it's been a bit now, and we see it. And so that's part of the why. That's part of the why. As people kept coming to me for leadership, for clarity, for visibility, for faith-centered growth, strategy. It was fragmented when it was in the different companies. Now, I enjoyed it because it was a check here, a check there, and I was still able to help people. And then I just took some time, meditating, looking at things, praying. I was like, wait a minute, this is a whole system. And I was like, no, it can't be. Was it here all along? And it was like, no, this is a whole system, because everything I've done has been about people and about messaging, mastering language, messaging, learning how to say something 3 different ways, knowing what type of personality you have, emotional intelligence, different things like that. And so I was like, wow. And so, I spoke with some of my mentors, some of my colleagues, prayed on it. Be the clay, right? Definitely, you got to pray on it. And in my prayer, I was like, Lord, is this really it? And then I began to see things from like 2015 and 2018, which was this exact framework out of my drive system, even trademarked. And I was like, wow, but I was so busy. And so I put that thing and compared it like line by line. The only differences with some of the new offerings that I have, but the mission, the framework, it was there. And I was like, thank you so much, Lord. Just thank you for the confirmation, speaking with my mentor. And so people have really been asking like, why? And so that's it. I've been filling gaps. And then I was like, okay, instead of filling the gaps, let's just build a bridge. And so the bridge is over the gaps. And it is this framework that works, And so I was like, okay, let me go ahead and talk to my warm audience about it. Because transition, people can be in transition and they may be like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? Because they feel listless. They're like, I'm doing the things and I should be, they feel like they should feel a certain way, but the feelings change. There are different stages of transition. Yes, you have the high. It's really amazing. It's good. Or you feel relief, But then there are times when you go through frustration, confusion, a little depression, crisis. Like you always have to let go of what was. That's the thing with transition. You have to let go of the ideal of what the framework of how you thought it should be in your mind. And you have to let that stuff go and look at what you really have. And so often I get to work, most of the time it's with high performing women, but I work with these individuals, executives and business owners, and they hit transition and they know how to kill the game. They know their field. They know the expertise and where they work, but it could be something as simple as their children are gone and now they're empty nesters, and it kind of it creates a shift, right? Because they're in transition. They know cognitively exactly what to do, but there are these feelings that are unfamiliar. And say what you will, when you feel something, you feel it. Now, it doesn't have to drive all your decisions, but you do feel it. And if you don't know what it is, you can internalize something. You can make a decision that is temporary, thinking that you're not pleased with what you have, and so you make a decision to get something different because you're just so used to moving. You're so used to being busy. You're so used to being in execution mode. You're so used to being problem solving for others, for your children, your spouse, your employees, your clients, that you don't really know how to be in decision mode for you. You just know how to power through because you've been doing it so long. And so we help people even with those parts of transition, because you worked really hard to get what you have now, and you don't want to lose it on a humbug. That's the whole thing with the Hold Your Form book. I help people keep what they've worked for. And so that's part of the large why, that's part of the large why of moving from the different and separate organization and bringing it all under this amazing system. So we could actually work with things like when people feel pulled in 6 different directions and they don't have a central strategy, we help with the central strategy. When they're doing the good work but lacking alignment or sustainability, we help them with the alignment and the sustainability. We even have something that we do call an alignment series. It's a no cost alignment series. 1 weekend a month. We pray, we do things on the Friday that have to do with the faith, and on the Saturday we're doing like the leadership and the business training. There's no cost at all for that because we are working in the community. We help people grow spiritually and professionally, you know. Because let me say this with that: when we help them grow spiritually and professionally, we don't keep that separate. We don't keep that separate. I know in the world, it's like, no, this is my job. This is my profession. This is my business. This is my faith. And so many people for so many years, you kept it separate because you want to pay your bills. You feel like you have to, but you're one person and you are always called to be aligned. Even if you're in the marketplace, I'm not saying you have to be a pastor, but even in the marketplace, if you're a person of faith, you're still one person, and your core values and your integrity and what you believe, that's going to drive you no matter where you are. If you are divided, that's division, and nothing grows from division but 2 separate visions, and then another 4 separate visions, and 6 separate visions, and then again we go back to somebody feeling like they're being pulled in 6 different directions. You were never designed to be all over the place like that. You can multitask, you can work in different areas, but you are still a whole person, like an integer. You're a person. And so yeah, and we help people with their businesses when they have content, but they have tools, or they have coaches, and all of these things are separate, but they don't talk to one another. They're not integrated, they're not interacting with one another. So it's a lot of high capacity people, and they feel stuck, but they're not stuck, they're just scattered. I've been there, I know what that's like, and I had to make changes. And initially the changes was one after the other. But with each one, by God's grace, I was able to master the one. I was able to master the one. And I just thought I was figuring stuff out for me, and for the people I was working with. But I was like, wait a minute. And so once I start working this thing as a system, and I realized like each part had a part, I was like, what? Oh my God, let's go. And it's been amazing. And it's been easier. And so I was like, this framework works. It doesn't have to work separately. It works as one. And now we're able to put people where they belong in the system, because they may not need a reset. They may not need language mastery. They may need clarity. They may need the nuances. They need the framework. The framework is what gets it done and what gets it through. And so, yeah, it's been really good. Again, a lot of high capacity people aren't stuck. They're just scattered. And I know what that's like. And so when we started the EchoSystem, this ecosystem that we have, the EchoSystem, speak, lead, transform, echo. At first it was like repeat, but no, I wanted to echo. We wanted to ripple. The people I've worked with, I may have worked with you here and you are a lead, but you may be a director now, a author, a podcaster. Like, it echoes, the messaging echoes. Most people in leadership want to make an impact, whether it's loud or whether it's quiet, and they want the impact to continue to impact, the ripple, the echo. And so it's been so good. So the ecosystem is not something new. It is actually just like the container of everything that I do. It's just the structure. It's not like, oh, this is a new thing. No, it's what I've been doing for decades. And it's what's been working for decades. This is just the container that holds it. This is the structure of it. This is the framework. It's where everything that I teach, build, and support actually works together, because we're not called to be divided. And so some people had asked me, okay, we're seeing the ecosystem. What does this mean? You're doing something new? No, I'm doing something more. I'm doing something stronger, reinforced, not divided, not scattered. And it's been amazing. And I've been able to help people not be scattered. And it's been amazing. So yeah, there's nothing really new you have to learn except for the name, ecosystem. It's just the framework that holds it. It's the framework that holds it. You maybe know what you already wanting to do. So now let's just kind of tune that up, Let's build what you're wanting to build. First, though, we have to have the clarity, and then we just go through the framework, and it works. And I'm excited about it. They're excited about it. Hopefully, you'll be excited about it too. And it's been amazing. It's been amazing. Yeah. It's just good. That's all I have to say about that. So people that ask me the why, and the why is because I don't want, let me just be transparent. I found out, you do the work and you feel like you are going level to level, glory to glory. But I found out in my journey, and the top of the mountain to me may not be the top of the mountain to someone else. But I remember working my way up to a bicycle, and the handlebars kept slipping. I remember riding a bus. I remember carrying laundry a mile up the road to catch the city bus with my mom's laundry, because she was in a nursing home. I remember not having any furniture in my house. There's some things that I really remember. So when I get to do the things that I get to do now, I know that came from me giving my life to God and me beginning to make choices when I didn't have the thoughts. And I was like, there's no way this can happen. I literally had to borrow thoughts from the Bible. He said his ways are higher and his thoughts are higher. So I had to set my thoughts down for a bit and begin to follow some of those principles. But I'm like, okay, he said line upon line, precept upon precept. If I'm willing and obedient, I eat the good of the land, keep myself from like foolish arguments. Don't argue over words. I began to do some of those things, and I began to see better decisions. And what happened is me making better decisions began to compound. And, that may sound simple to you, but I really didn't know some of those things. I remember one of my prayers saying, I've done everything I know to do. And I really kind of felt like, but did you do everything you could do? And I was like, I've done everything I know to do. A lot of people stop there. But everything I know is not everything I can. I can learn something new. And so I began to just learn something new. I'm a lifelong learner. And what happened is, just like a snowball gets bigger and bigger, the snowball keeps getting bigger. I started having compound interest on my decisions because I was following and I was borrowing his thoughts and his principles. And I began to see something different, right? And so I know what it's like to be without, and I know what it's like to feel like I was always going to be like in that lifestyle and different things. And I also know what it's like to say, okay, Lord, even though you live in a world that's like, yeah, but what you do, or it's not, like we think of God figuratively, but no, God is real. And so I was just like, okay, Lord, okay, what do I do with this? All right, here we are. And what happened is, in my, okay, Lord, God's faithfulness, he's always faithful, but it really began to kick in, the promises. I remember there was a pastor one day told me, she was like, don't pray the problem, pray the promise. Which meant instead of me saying, I don't have this, I began to pray the promises that are in the book, in the Bible. And the promises started to come to fruition. That's when I began to realize too, whatever you focus on, you gravitate toward. If I'm always thinking about the problem, I'm going to gravitate toward the problem. When I start praying and thinking about the promises, man, I gravitated toward the promises. I was like, this thing works. And so what happened is once I began to really kind of move, I did what many people do. And I forgot. I became cavalier and I forgot where I came from. And I forgot who helped me to get everything that I have. And I started trusting in people and wanting to help people and praising people's opinion kind of more. Even though I was always still helping people, I started putting, the best way I can say it is, instead of me trying to get on God's calendar, I felt like he maybe was like I was trying to have him get on mine when I had time for him. And so I just really wanted to be transparent in this Be the Clay, because I've had that success emptiness before. And I was like, what is this? And I'm like, you fussing over first world problems. You have a house, you got a couple of cars. Like, why? You should be so super happy. But outside things can't make you happy if you're not in alignment and you don't have that peace and that joy. And I know I'm not the only one. And so what happened is when I went through something that I probably would have preferred not to go through, but now I'm so glad it happened because it has freed me up. And I realized I don't want to have my job and my career. Like, I didn't want to have that over here and then save my praise for over here. I was divided. The money was increasing, still had clients because I'm still serving people, but I was divided. And then I was like, no. And so now, I took some time, maybe about 18 months, really working on the structure, making sure the business was structured, holding companies, turning down business, because I was like, no, I want to focus right here in this area. But what I realized is me being able to do that externally now is because I was able to do it internally, and I'm not divided. And so even in everything I do, I don't have to be afraid or ashamed to say, I prayed about it and this is what I believe. Now everything is not, I prayed about it. Something you have to go study. You have to look at it. This is the skill set. This is what studies show. This is statistics. This is human behavior, like all of these things. But I'm rambling a bit. But again, I just want to take time because people have been asking me, are you doing something new? No, I'm doing something better. And I'm doing something more strategically and more aligned. And it feels good. It's amazing. I'm honored to be able to do it. I've met some amazing people. I've been able to help some new clients. I met some amazing new people that I've been speaking with for a while now. We in this thing, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing. So hey, that is what the ecosystem is about. Speak, lead, transform, echo. It is the infrastructure behind the work that I've been doing for years, and it connects leadership, development, visibility, faith, and execution into one aligned ecosystem. That's what it does. And it's amazing. I'm so glad I get to do it. Now, I do want to share this before we go. Earlier, I was talking about transition. This part now comes out of the ecosystem, of course, but this part is just me talking to who's listening. And this 5 to 10 minutes will sound and be completely different. And here it is. Clip this. Transition is a process of a series of steps. And when you're in transition, and you feel off kilter, or you feel listless, or you feel unsteady or uncertain, it's your typically people want to reach for something to stabilize or to steady themselves. Hold on, just go with the flow. Every day, do the simple things, do the things, the staples. I don't care if it's just, hey, driving, making sure you eat, making sure you take your medicine. It's okay when you're in transition, because what you're doing is you're getting acclimated to your new. You may be deciding your new, you may be designing your new, but you're getting acclimated to whatever your new is. New season, new level, new week, new job, new relationship, whatever it is. You're just getting acclimated. So when you feel listless and like maybe frustrated, maybe super excited and then frustrated, and like, how can I feel these things in 1 week? It's transition. It's transition. And every change comes with transition. I don't care if you just change where you park your car. Each change has transition after it, because it is you getting acclimated to the change. And life is full of change. Change doesn't ask for permission to occur. And so transition is the part that comes after it. It may take 8 months, it may take 18 months. You're okay. You're doing okay. A lot of people lost their jobs last year in the calendar year of 2025. And they may be like, hey, what's going on? A lot of parents become empty nesters, and they've spent so many years only focused on their children. And now they have to get to know this new. What does it look like when my kids don't need me every single day? What does it look like when I don't have to tell them to get up every morning and make sure they brush their teeth and get them to football practice, basketball practice, band practice, all of these things, take them to their doctor's appointment to get their physicals? What does it look like when that's not all I'm here for? And that doesn't take up 85% of my time. That's a change. And then they have transition. And that's something that you have to go through. Don't rush that. Don't power through and rush that, because that leaves it almost leaves like a hole or something that's disconnected, because it didn't have an opportunity to gel and connect in the way that it should. Just go with it. Just go with it. Okay? Just flow. Take the time. Take the time to heal. Take the time to process. Take the time to find out what you like now. It may not be let's go to the club 27 times, because I didn't get to do all that when I was younger, because I was, taking care of my husband and kids, or I was taking care of my wife and kids. It may be you find out that you just like coffee and sitting, at a patio coffee shop and just enjoying some time. It may be that you enjoy time with elderly individuals, and so you want to volunteer some time. Get to know you. Transition is not your enemy. Transition is where you get to finger paint or draw, do abstract art. You get to be your own architect. Listen in transition. Listen. And if you are a believer, I want to remind you, listen in transition. Don't run into something and do it just because you can. The waiting is just, if not more important, as the run. I want to run my race. Great. Wait and hear how and where you're going to run, so to speak. I know I've said a lot. This has been a really personal Be the Clay. And it may have seemed like I rambled, but one of my mentors, a gentleman named Dr. Howard Hatcher, he shared with me once. He said, when you're speaking, and I do this when I speak too, to crowds, he said, there's a time when you do a rifle shot, which is like, and then there's a time when you do a shotgun blast. And what happens is with the shotgun blast, it has the little pellets. It goes everywhere. It's like the rifle, boom, very precise. The shotgun, boom, it kind of hits everybody. And so today, there's been a few rifle shots, but there has been some shotgun. But all of it is effective. And so I want y'all to have an amazing day, a great day. If you're in transition, please know that you're okay. I feel like when this drops, that's going to be helpful for people. Know that you're okay in transition. You know, you're not losing it. You're all right. You're right on schedule. You're right on time. And life is good. Life is good. Don't be tricked by your emotions. That's all I have there. That's all I have. Hey guys, my name is Sharon Combs. For those of you who don't know, there is something that's called Think on Purpose, the Transformation Bundle. It's this book. And this book also comes with a workbook. And it really helps you recognize that your thoughts are designed to serve you and not vice versa. Your thoughts are designed to serve you and not vice versa. It talks about the neural pathways. The workbook really helps you to grow and look at metacognition. You know, what am I thinking about? Why am I thinking what I'm thinking? And how can I change this? You can change it. You can establish a new groove. So the link will be here on Spotify. Go ahead and grab that copy now. If you get it in the, January, it stops February 15th. I was going to say, if you get it in the month of January, because the sale ends, it actually comes with a free ebook called Wrong in the Room. Not in the wrong room, but Wrong in the Room, which talks about how you interact with people. But the moral of the story is that book is amazing. Check it out. It will help you. It will help you. And the tools in there, they changed my life. They changed my life. And, that was well over a decade ago. And it still works. Yeah. Y'all be safe. God bless. Have a good day. And I will speak with y'all soon.
Have you ever been in a room where everyone agreed and something in you said, this isn't right? Not loud, not emotional, just clear. Wrong in the Room is for professional women and faith-based entrepreneurs who lead with integrity in systems that don't always reward it. It's about discernment, decision-making, silence, courage, and faith without spectacle. If you've ever felt early instead of wrong, anchored instead of popular, this book will put language to what you already know. It's priced at $12, intentionally accessible, because it's not an ending. It's a doorway into deeper thinking, clearer leadership, and the work we do inside the ecosystem and be the clay. You don't need hype, you need clarity. You have to work with other people, and sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes they are in your face. God, I'm talking to myself too. But you still have to work with that person, so you have to lean over the shoulder and see what the result is that you want. You have to be the adult, and you have to let it go, because I can't run a race carrying your bags, my bags, and everybody else's bags.
I'm Dr. Kathy Martin, and I am living proof that with Sharon Combs, Coach Shay, and UCVI leadership, processes, and strategic avenues work.